Call to order. The regular governing board meeting of the Jefferson Elementary School District, September 25th, 2013 at 7:02. Can we get members present?
Hans Hansen,
Here.
Rebecca Douglas.
Here.
Marie Brizuela, Joseph Otaidi.
Here.
Shaquille Ali.
Here. And we will ask Ms. McCulick to lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance.
I would like to do it at the very last board meeting, because I've never done it.
His very last one, not me. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
And before we approve the agenda, we need to amend it to say that we are tabling the closed session item to a future meeting.
So we have no items.
So no closed session?
No closed session.
I move that we approve the agenda as amended.
Well, does that mean that the anticipated litigation is not coming?
No, it just means the council is not able to be present,
Oh,
so we can't have that item.
I was hoping.
I'll second your motion.
All right. All those in favor?
Aye.
Just want to note that Ms. Brizuela is here.
Here.
Welcome. And she came in, got busy. All right. Public hearing to review and approve a resolution on the district's sufficiency of pupils' textbooks.
So all of our students have their textbooks. This is an annual requirement that we have to have a public hearing to let the public know that we have sufficient textbooks for all of our students. It's part of the Williams Act, and so we have to allow opportunity for the public to speak. But all of our students have the textbooks that are required, and everyone's in the classroom using them.
All right, we have no speaker cards, so that concludes the hearing. Comments from any administrator? You first.
I did go back to the back-to-school night at Benjamin Franklin this year.
Right.
And I enjoyed it. They had the band played. Mrs. Douglas there and Mrs. Basuela's there. And the band was really great. And they had this amazing young lady that was singing. And so we might be watching her on American Idol when she gets of age. Anyway, I enjoyed it, and that's it. Thank you.
All right, thanks for attending.
I also attended back to school night for Fernando Rivera with Ms. Hopkins here and Dr. Douglas, and a great turnout. It was full house. They had a little like a potluck, not a potluck, but some refreshments, desserts beforehand, and a great presentation by Ms. Parcells. So it's great to see everyone.
All right.
I'll pass. Bernie?
I will wait until later.
Even with a no Trump hand?
Special time. All right, comments from any board members? Nope.
Well, they already said where I was all week, so. Also, it was at the Jefferson Council PTA meeting Monday night, along with most of the same suspects, where we heard a very good presentation on the needs of foster children and children in the criminal justice system in our county.
All right. Ms. Brizuela?
Well, I did attend Ben Franklin's back-to-school night, and it was really terrific. The band is, considering they had about 9 days to practice, and they were terrific. So we enjoyed that and got to see a lot of the classrooms and the teachers. And it's hard to go into a lot of classrooms, but I hit as many as I could, because once you get in, you don't want to leave. But anyway. So, and also I want to thank everyone who did attend the PTA Council dinner. It was to celebrate the principals, beginning of the year, because it's closest week again, and also the president of the PTAs. And our superintendent was there along with the high school district superintendent. They each spoke, and they did a duet, actually. Very cleverly done. And everyone seemed to have a good time, and I think it was a real good bonding, and we had some members of our teachers were there as well, and AFT representatives, and everybody just had a great time.
Right. Did they actually sing, or you mean just
No, the duet was, instead of each coming up and speaking, they decided to speak together,
All right.
and they didn't have to say the same thing twice, but
Great. All right. Shows good teamwork with our two
Teamwork.
districts. All right.
Yes.
Mr. Otidy.
I'd like to take this opportunity to once again talk about civil rights and voting rights of the Asian and Latino population. On October 8th at the San Mateo Government Building, they will take public comment on how they will be drawing the supervisorial lines in which North County has a greater opportunity to have an effect on how county legislation and budgets will be affected, and hopefully affect our school district and families in North County. I would like to advise everyone to come there, make a public comment to make sure that you get your resources and your rights and your voting power, to make sure that resources that come to the community come to your homes. Thank you. October 8th, San Mateo County Building.
All right. Persons wishing to address the board, no speakers cards. Any correspondence?
No correspondence,
All right.
but I do have a comment.
Comments?
So I was able to attend the TR Policita Back to School Night, and I was very impressed by, the environment at the school. It was very welcoming. Students were engaged and participating. Parents were asking questions. A couple came up to me and wanted to know what we were doing to prepare for the transition to the Common Core state standards. It's in the news, and so parents are starting to get information. I was able to direct them to our website and let them know that there's quite a few resources on our website where they can read up on it, and if they have any questions, that they could contact whoever information is on there, probably Ms. McCulloch. But we do have a great resource in our website on the Common Core state standards, and I would encourage anybody who's interested in knowing what we're doing and what we're planning to visit that, and then learn from that. So.
And there's also going to be a public hearing, correct, for the plan that we have on?
Oh, that would be for the local control funding formula. Yeah, we do need to develop a local control accountability plan, and it's still unclear what areas we need to receive public comment on. And so I did announce that at the Jefferson Council of PTA's meeting, that we will be soliciting input from school site representatives at these hearings, at these meetings. Yeah.
All right, great. General functions, do we have a motion to approve the consent agenda?
I'll make a motion to approve the consent agenda.
Second.
And are there any, there's no
There was-
resolutions, right?
There's one
There is.
resolution, yes.
All right.
There is. I saw
So
one when I
we need
read
a
it.
Roll call. Yeah, you're right.
Mr. Hanson,
Aye.
Dr. Douglas,
Aye.
Mrs. Brizuela,
Aye.
Mr. Otidy, Mr. Ali,
Aye. All right. Jefferson Elementary School District, AFT, Local 3267, and CSEA Chapter 233, Memorandum of Understanding for joining the Monterey Schools Insurance Group, JPA.
Similar as far as approval for joining this group. The board, you did approve the district's participation agreement with Monterey County School Insurance Group. So this formalizes the agreement, the MOU, with both CSEA and AFT for joining that group also.
All right.
So are there better plans? Better fees and all that?
Yes, at this point it is, but it's giving us access to Anthem Blue Cross by joining that group.
Oh.
By choice, if one chooses
If
to
somebody
go with
wants
that.
it, you mean?
Right.
Ah.
Adds options, that's good. Then I would like to make a motion to approve the MOU for joining Monterey County Schools Insurance Group, JPA.
All those in,
I'll second the motion.
all those in favor?
Aye.
Update on energy efficiency and photovoltaic panel installations.
So, as we've been mentioning several times now since the summer, voltaic panels have been going up across the district. That's probably the most visible improvement under this project. It is the most visible improvement under this project. There are also lots of other sub-projects that are not quite as visible, and I've invited the team from Chevron to come and provide the board an update on the activities that are occurring under our energy services contract.
Thank you. Welcome back. It's great to see all of you again after the long summer. I know it's very busy for all of you, so thank you for your patience as we move forth with the construction process. With me today are Patrick Yost, who many of you know is the project manager, and Karen Perlmutter, who is our energy education developer. So she's been working closely with Sandy and team on the educational side of the program, and we'll be overviewing very briefly the direction of that toward the end of the deck.
All right.
So tonight we'll briefly revisit this vision and objectives of the program. Patrick will provide a construction status update. We'll review where we are insofar as projects that have been completed and projects that are underway with construction for your edification, and we'll update you on that again at the next board meeting when we are back. And then an educational program update from Karen, followed by a quick next steps overview and time for any questions you may have about the project. As you recall, one of the chief visions of this program was to create savings that can go back into the classroom. Likewise, we also wanted to connect those built environment upgrades with opportunities for students to have learning experiences around STEM. And that's really the two things that we've been focusing around over the summer months. One thing I do want to highlight is just the importance of that Measure I has gone to creating local jobs. We've worked closely with Bill Knack and the Building Trades Council to make sure that we're hiring local and that we're empowering them to also become more skilled on these job sites, so that then when another school follows your lead, they're able to become part of those schools as well.
What percentage of the jobs are local?
100% are coming out of the union halls. So very, very large percentage are coming. I don't know if to Daly City,
Right.
but from the county, yes, very high. So with the fun kind of construction photos now, I'll turn it over to Patrick.
Okay. So as Bernie had mentioned, we have 12 sites that currently now have our solar canopies. That's 11 schools and the district office. So I thought I'd show you some of the photos through the construction. You're looking at Paula Cita on the left there and Susan B. Anthony on the right. This is our construction crews drilling the holes. This was back in July. And what they do there is they drop rebar cages into the hole and pour concrete to support the structure. So just take you through a couple more. On the left there again, they're drilling the piers. On the upper right-hand side, this is when they bring out the prefabricated solar arrays and they put them up on the structure. We did that throughout most of August before school started. And then to avoid any heavy construction on the sites while school was going on. And you'll see Westlake there at the bottom with the canopies in place. And again, more of, this is Woodrow Wilson the day before the panels were erected. Those steel posts there are galvanized because of the special environment here in Daly City. Made sure that they're not going to corrode at all. So, and this is Susan B. Anthony. They're on the left with the canopy structure in place. So this is how most of the sites lay right now. Our electricians are going through and finishing up the wiring underneath, connecting each one of the panels together, and running the home run back to the electrical switchgear inside of each of the schools. So this process will go on for the next month and a half, where we work on installing the infrastructure to connect the system to the school's electrical supply, and then we'll work with PG&E to interconnect the systems, which will likely occur throughout November. So. And this is Pauline Brown. Again, there's the structure there. And here's Fernando Rivera. Now this site will also have LED light fixtures installed underneath. So we're anticipating getting those online in the next couple weeks here. And then throughout the summer, we upgraded 11 boilers throughout 8 sites. So the facilities department has a little bit easier job now. They have consistent boilers throughout all the schools. These are much more efficient than the previous boilers. Some of the boilers that were in some of the schools were up to 35 years old, so they were in need of replacement. So this should really make the classroom environments a little bit better. Also, this is one of the greatest improvements was at 6 sites. There's on the upper left-hand side there, you'll see an 18-cell T8 or a fluorescent fixture. We changed it out to the bottom fixture. So we went from 3 lamps to 2 lamps. And we're getting reports from most of the teachers that it's actually brighter in the rooms with the retrofit, even though we have 1 less lamp. So these lights also have an optional dimmer so that the teacher can choose between brightness levels. And then over to Courtney here.
So as you recall, we've used this energy summary matrix to track the scopes of work that we've been working on over the summer. When you have a C, you'll see that construction's underway. In many cases, as Patrick said, it may look complete, but there may be some leftover items, such as the interconnection with PG&E, that still have to be resolved. X represents completed projects. You'll see the HVAC boiler replacement is completed. And Patrick continues to work closely with Rick Young and the team to provide 3-week look-aheads on a consistent basis so that everyone's in sync insofar as the construction is concerned. We obviously know that we want to reduce intrusion into the classrooms and get off the sites as soon as we can. And so we're working very diligently to make sure that we are doing so in a safe and effective manner over the next coming month. I'll turn it over now to Karen to briefly review kind of what we're calling the Growing STEMs for STEM program.
Sure. So on Monday, Courtney and I actually got the chance to present at the principals meeting and give an overview of how we're thinking about incorporating our actual project and the facilities into the classroom. And the program that we've developed is called Growing STEMs for STEM, building on several of the gardens that are found throughout the Jefferson community. And so we're breaking these learning opportunities essentially up. Do I press this button? Is that how I go next?
Next one.
Next one? That one? Thank you. We're breaking them up into 3 main categories. The first one is project-based learning, so really getting students hands-on involved in solar opportunities and gardening opportunities as well. And we're going to be supporting that with several pieces of curriculum that are going to help the teachers in the classroom be able to implement those. And that'll be mostly for grades 6 to 8. The second large piece is STEM career engagement. And what we're planning on doing with the students is having them actually do a hands-on assessment of trying to figure out what are the needs in their schools and how does their personal environmental footprint impact what's going on in their community, and get a better understanding of how some of the upgrades that we're doing in the classroom, like heating, ventilation, lighting, can really have an impact on their school environment. And so what the students are going to get to do is do this whole assessment and hopefully have the opportunity to even present to you all with their findings. That's something that I think we would all really love to hear about. And the final component is professional development. We know that we want this program to be sustainable, and so we want to not just give your students materials for them to really be sparked and inspired and motivated, but we want to make sure that the teachers are equipped to be able to effectively teach in the classroom. And so more specifically, what this breaks out into is we're going to be, I'll be coordinating with Sandy on how everything is going to work out logistically, but we're going to be, for grades 6 to 8, it's going to be they're little solar suitcases that really give kids an understanding of they can touch the solar panels and really see how what they're seeing outside can really connect with what they would like to do in the future and how they can see themselves as a Patrick, as an engineer in the future. So we're also going to be supplying, based on the gardens that you have, interdisciplinary garden lesson plans for grades K to 5 to have the teachers really explore how they can connect the gardens with with math, with science, with even a little bit of engineering. And one of the things that we're focusing on is water, because we know that that's a big deal here, and it's also very important for solar panels as well, and it's not necessarily a connection that gets made very often. We're also going to be supplying curriculum related to the solar, generally how you can incorporate solar into the classroom. Project HEAT, which is that really hands-on energy efficiency assessment, professional development, and we're also in the process of looking into grants that will help further support this and make this even bigger than we hoped or dreamed.
Right. So you mentioned that you spoke at the principals meeting. So what kind of reception did they give you?
So Bernie and Sandy, what do you think? What kind of reception?
I want to be Patrick. I think that's we got some really good questions, definitely, insofar as kind of the applications to the Common Core. I
Right.
think that's been kind of the biggest question mark. And so one of the things that we tried to do, at least in a very succinct timeframe, was to overview some of the connections to both the kind of mathematics insofar as probability, statistics, and finding ways that they really did connect very directly to Common Core so that teachers would see them as complementary and really so that they could integrate. Because the goal here is to have it be sustainable, and it's not going to be sustainable if it's seen as extraneous.
And the professional development will be voluntary, so it'll be people that are really interested in this, in STEM. And so, but I think everyone's really excited about what's happening at their schools with the solar panels and how it can be put into the classroom. But everyone has lots of questions and wants to see what it's going to look like. So we're going to be working together to see how we can roll that out.
Mm-hmm.
All right.
And one of the requests that the superintendent had was to have what we call impact cards, which overview the whole program. Because the question we always get is, well, how much is this producing for what school? Why? How does it work? And so we've tried to create an opportunity, and we're printing them right now, actually, that will be passed out to all those to the principals and then down to the teachers. And so they'll have a lesson idea on the back so they can use in the classroom, combined with the actual data. So if a student says, how many solar panels at our school, they'll be able to say, okay, I can tell you how many solar panels, and right. So it provides a little more quantitative background. So that varies as far as if you're a kindergarten or if you're a bit higher up. But we want to make sure that it's meaningful and the teachers have that information.
All right.
And so just to quickly wrap it up, Patrick will quickly overview kind of what the next steps are so that
Sure.
you're
Yeah.
all in the loop.
So we're looking at completing the PV solar canopies over the next few weeks here with interconnection in November. So most of those arrays will hopefully be online by that point, and this is when we're looking to do a ribbon cutting ceremony with the district. So we're working with Rick and Bernie and coordinating that activity. So of course everybody be invited to that. We're working through lighting upgrades right now. Schedule, we'll have all of those complete in November. So you'll also see light fixtures go in the exterior of the campuses and at the gyms and multi-purpose rooms. So you'll see a great impact there. And then, of course, Karen's going to be working with Sandy and working on the professional development curriculum. So.
Yeah, I think overall, I think the project has gone definitely on track, and it's a testament to the district's staff and willingness and openness to being a real team insofar as making this happen over the summer and being efficient and timely and keeping toward the schedule. So major thanks go to everyone here as well as Rick Young. It's been a real pleasure so far working together with the district.
Morgan's been very
Yeah.
helpful.
All right. So this might be a question for Rick or for Mr. Vidales, but how does we're going to be doing major renovations at Policita School. So how does that affect with your, like installing the lighting and all that?
So we've actually been working with Rick quite a bit on that, and we've removed all the lighting from the lower portion of the Policita campus from the scope of work. So they're only going to be working on the exterior fixtures on the gym and in the gym itself. So, and then the boilers were also removed from the scope of work that were at Policita. So we are still coordinating with Rick too on the fact that our electrical conduits, they'll go through the area where the new area of Policita will extend out to on the playground, and we're giving them accurate boring logs on where our pipes are so they don't build a building over our wiring. So yeah, so we've been coordinating that with them. So.
All right.
If I may, if these things are removed from the scope of work, since it may be a double dip, how does that affect our cost, in which you've already allocated for in our payment?
So it's just removed. We haven't moved forward at all on any of the scope, so they're being removed from the contract.
So how does that adjust the total cost? Should it be down because we removed it?
It was down, but
And will we get an estimate of how that will be reduced?
so that already went through, and the district selected to go through with the corporation yard PV system. So that actually, the difference between the two, it was in the contract it was $558,000 for the PV system.
558,000.
Yeah.
Okay.
So, and then with the reduction in scope, I think the total change in contract was about 377.
So a net of 200,000. 558 minus 230
I
is
think it's about
3.
about 180 reductions. So.
All right. You have any questions, Mr. Hanson?
Well, I had one, but we're not ready for it yet.
All right.
We're not done.
When are you going to see the savings?
Yes.
All right.
So one of the reasons that we're moving toward the interconnection component is that once we get the connections in, then your system's really live. It's working. Right now, PG&E, of course, has to go through some safety checks, and so it's, while it's sitting, it'll be turned on, so to speak, and you'll be starting to generate energy. Now, the energy efficiency improvements, once they're in, they're working. Once you change out a light bulb, you're seeing the benefit there. And then what we will do, of course, is come back, in a year with an update. And just from a perspective, I know South San Francisco has a totally different microclimate, completely different, I'm well aware, but they were at over 100% of production for their first year. So we're seeing a really good trend in the area that kind of our projections are conservative, and we presume that the same will be true in Daly City. So we'll be back in a year for an update. We'll also be able to help the district during that meantime track the production and the savings, and to see the real impact.
Because I'm hoping that we'll have the same situation as that high school in Los Angeles with their little oil well.
Dream on.
At the end of the football field, off to the left, it's going like this for 20 years, or 30, or 40, or 50, whatever it is.
We'll see. We'll see.
So far, you
Okay.
guys haven't struck oil while sinking any of those pillars.
Not so far. They do, sand, and that's why they do the utility locating before,
Yes.
Yeah, we don't want to hit.
Because that's the only kind of oil you're going to strike in Daly City. Yeah. So we're already, of course, seeing savings then from the furnaces and lighting changes that have been made. And
Yes.
so you're saying we should be going online and start seeing solar production and savings on that in November?
Yeah,
Yeah, so that's actually ahead
of
of
course,
predicted.
we're coordinating with PG&E,
Yeah.
so nothing's definite, but yeah, that's what we're anticipating right now. So we're working with them right now to coordinate shutdowns so that we can tie in the infrastructure, but we can't actually turn the system on until we get a permission to operate letter from PG&E. So that, there's some timing
Yeah,
involved in that.
of course, yeah, you have to do that right.
So,
Any other questions? Ms. Brizuela?
okay, I'm just going to say, I'm really excited as I drive by and see all that
I'm
stuff.
glad, thank you.
And as board remembers, since I work over in South City, you guys were there, and I was invited to what they don't call it ribbon cutting, they call it pull the switch or something?
Flip the switch.
Flip the switch. And so it's quite a little ceremony they do, and then that's when it begins. And I was really impressed with what I heard and what I saw, and that's why I came back and said, we gotta let these guys come and talk to us. And now it's almost a reality.
Yeah.
So
Thank you.
thank you so much to the whole board for reaching out and saying, let's try this. We're going to save money. And I think it's making the schools look even nicer. It's inviting and people know what we're doing. And it also says a lot for the fact that we did go for a bond and said we're going to do all these things. And the public is seeing that we're doing it.
Yeah.
So I look forward and thank you so much for everybody who helped make this happen.
Thank you. It's
Our pleasure.
No more questions?
I'm glad that we currently see savings from the investment in furnaces and boilers, and we expect to see solar savings in October. I was also surprised that we may see some electrical savings from some vehicles. How many electric vehicles has the district purchased to lower total carbon footprint?
We have not yet purchased any electric vehicles. We will have electric vehicle charging station, and there are some staff members who have vehicles that would like to utilize those.
I guess that's what I'm questioning. Can we go to slide 14, please? Maybe 13. There was a grid. There you go. I guess the EV charging station at the district office. How does that, I guess, benefit the taxpayers and the school district, and how does that bring savings back into the classrooms?
That was a project that we decided to include in the overall contract to encourage the use and purchase of electric vehicles by employees, and also offering that as a resource to community members that are close to the charging stations.
I guess I want to echo on the fact that we talked about doing what's sustainable instead of extraneous, and I'm wondering if that could have been used to purchase maybe even more T12 lights versus T8 lights and things of that sort, brighter lighting in our classrooms and hallways versus more discrete users of electric vehicle charging stations, not understanding that we don't have any electric vehicles in our fleets currently.
On the other hand, if we have no charging station, we don't have the option of having electric vehicles in our fleet. So to some degree, you do have to look at the future
Setting
and
it
laying
up.
the groundwork to enable us to do that kind of savings.
True.
I guess that's just my opinion that maybe T12 lights and better lighting and retrofitting more lights would have been
That's
better.
a done decision at this point.
Well, I'm just expressing that. Just want to show that there may have been choices.
All right, well, I don't have any other questions, so thanks for your presentation.
Thank you. And we'll certainly keep everyone abreast of any kind of educational updates through Sandy. So thank you all very much.
Thank you.
Good to see you all again.
Superintendent goals 2013 to 2014.
Yes, and so I believe it was last April, maybe May, the board did adopt district goals at that time. And so we spent some of the summer and mostly this fall looking over those district goals and identifying sort of success indicators underneath each of those that would reflect progress toward the goals that we could see in a given year. And so many of them are very similar to what we saw last year. Some have been streamlined a bit from what we learned last year about what we're able to do. Others have been added. So that is what I'm submitting as superintendent goals as measures of progress toward our district goals.
All right, and thanks for submitting this. Do we have any deliberation?
Yeah, actually, I had a few points that I was wondering about. In the part, we're dealing with this question of whether the CST will be given and so forth, and I'm wondering,
Right, yeah.
Talking here about how we'll, if it's given, how we want it to improve, is there any way that we can, it seems like if it's not given, we need to be thinking about how we are actually going to be measuring the student achievement, recognizing, of course, to some degree you can't. You can't compare apples and oranges, but there must,
Yes, and that's why we included district benchmarks
Okay,
as a
so-
measure. The
Oh,
district
yeah.
benchmarks are going to be given, is it
Mars
twice?
assessments.
Twice a year, so we'll have a beginning of the year
And
assessment and
right.
a 3/4, two-thirds of the year.
So we may not be able to
assessment.
compare with previous years, but we can
No,
at
we can
least make
compare
sure that
within
they're
the year.
making progress through that year,
And
which
the Mars
is really
assessment,
the
which is
bottom
the
line.
mathematics assessment and is
That we've
written
been
by the
using.
same individuals that write the Common Core State Standards
All right.
items. We do have comparable year-to-year measures on that one.
Okay, and then I wanted to ask in item number 3 about making sure everything's safe and talk about 95% of work orders received within a quarter will be completed. Then all urgent and safety repairs will be completed in a timely manner. And I was wondering if there was a particular reason why you made that actually sort of vague. That is it unrealistic to put a time frame on there?
And what we found from
As possible.
last time is that sometimes there was an urgent repair that needed to happen but wasn't able to happen because it would require
A
lots
shutdown
of reconfiguring of things, and so it was best that we wait until there was a longer break. So, so that's the reason I put time limit. I think last time we had within 2 weeks,
And
and we
it proves
found
not realistic, right?
when there's a broken window or things that can be repaired within a
Right.
day or two, then they will be. Just that some repairs, I think we had, I think last year we had a plumbing situation that we were not able to take care of until the summer. And so
Right.
a bathroom in that part of the school needed to be closed. There are still sufficient bathrooms throughout the remainder
Right.
of the school, but we were not able to address that particular area until the summertime.
So, as expeditiously as possible, which sometimes isn't that expeditious. Okay. And then just as a comment on item number 4 on the technology, which is that we need to get and develop a concrete plan with the finances worked out, and probably will need to be turning some of our surplus to providing that technology. We've got a huge distance to go on that to get where we are. And that's not necessarily changing the goals, that's merely commenting that that's going to have to be a priority for the board to make that goal possible.
Yeah, and so yeah, exactly. And I think we felt strongly that we needed to have a plan to sort of know 10 steps ahead what we need to do. I think we're able to tell you step 1 and step 2,
Right.
but if we know clearly what the next 10 steps are, we can make better decisions about step 1 and step 2 that we wouldn't regret further down.
Well, that's a good point because, you know, we should be budgeting the plan and not planning the budget. So when do we think we can get that plan done?
Couple hours.
Yeah, we're hoping for, yeah. I have a team that I'm working with, and we're actually meeting next week to really start developing this plan, and we hope to have a plan to the board sometime in the spring.
All right.
So,
Ms.
That was all I,
Ms. Brizuela, do you have any questions? Or
Uh,
any
No,
deliberation?
no, I thought we pretty well looked at that thoroughly, so.
All right, Mr. Otidy? No? All right, great. So do we have a motion to approve?
No, I've got one.
All right.
Oh,
yeah.
I still maintain that we should have number 6 become number 1.
Oh, yeah.
oh, that's right.
No matter what your cause, it's a lost cause without funding,
Exactly.
That's true.
so.
Well, I would suggest that these are all extremely important and that we should just take the numbers off because they suggest a hierarchy that doesn't really exist here. They all need to be met.
And you can always do it alphabetically, you know, whatever you want to
right.
do.
Good point, though. Do you have this arranged in any type of?
No, we didn't do it.
That's-
I mean, I did arrange it in a particular order, not because one is better or higher than the other, but because our first purpose here is to improve student achievement and address that issue. And then the way that I see it building is that, well, in order to do that, then we need to have qualified and trained staff in order to be able to accomplish that goal. And then third would be, we need great and safe spaces for kids and staff to work. And then fourth would be, you know, we need the tools to be able to do that. We need to engage our community, and all of that sort of sits on the foundation of a fiscally prudent budget and expenditure plan.
So he built a pyramid for
I was
you.
going to
So I
say.
This
built
is the
the pyramid,
foundation. The money is the
Looking at it from
foundation.
two different angles, but we're looking at the same thing.
But he built it from the top
Sort of
down.
like Mr. Hansen, it's sort of,
Oh, yes, we need money too.
Mr. Hansen, it's like, I would say it's like the astronauts,
Upside down.
when they first orbited Earth, they looked at the Earth and they did not recognize it because they saw it upside down. And they did not know that that was the same Earth that they'd been picturing and thinking about all of their lives, because North America was
on the
was
bottom.
was on the bottom, and they could not.
That's a very clever, obtuse way of getting out of it.
Yeah. That's why you hired me.
That's why but now we're on to you.
Well done, Mr. Gonzalez. You gave yourself away.
I think each goal is extremely important, and we'll meet them all, right?
We will make progress toward all. Yes.
Yes.
All right.
Okay.
Okay, so, did
Now
we-
do we have a motion to approve the superintendent goals?
I have a motion to approve the superintendent goals, and just, you know, in tribute to the years of service that Mr. Hansen has given our board, to put number 6 as number 1. And like I said, since it's an upside down thing, it's all the same, but it's just perspective-wise, but I think it's a way to...
I think we should arrange them in a circle.
Yeah.
You know, seriously, that's what they say. Everything's in a
Actually,
circle.
Yeah, actually, I kind of like that, but I don't know how it works for, a thing that you print
Well,
out that way.
you just get a big piece of paper in a circle and just put it. I think the words and what it means is more important than
Yeah. And that we know that they're
deciding what goes first.
Well, I would like to.
It's okay, you don't need to debate it.
I know.
So do we have a second?
Second.
A second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Curriculum and instruction, acceptance of donations. Who would like to thank our donors tonight?
If I may, thank the donors. I would like to thank Save Mart, Wells Fargo, Vikash Kumar, Miss Michelle Platao, the Shares Program, Save Mart Supermarkets, and Keith Young for the resources and funding you give to our classrooms. Thank you very much, and I would like to encourage everybody to do the same. Thank you.
You're here.
And then I'll make a motion that we accept those donations.
Second the motion?
All those in favor?
Aye.
Ready Schools Team Plan, and I see that they're here, and Kindergarten Readiness Updates.
Yes, I would like to introduce Pat Bohm from Daly City Peninsula Partnership and Jessica Mahali from Silicon Valley Community Foundation. They are instrumental in this grant opportunity that we have with our Ready Schools team, and they're going to share some updates and some new information for us as well.
All right, thanks.
Good evening.
Yep.
Thank you. I'm Jessica Mahali. I work with Silicon Valley Community Foundation. I really appreciate the opportunity to be here tonight with Pat, and Sandy has been very supportive of our work in the district as well as the superintendent. So I wanted to tell you a little bit about the goals of Bridges to Success, and then Pat's going to give you some really nice detail about the work that's been happening here in Jefferson. So the Bridges to Success initiative is funded primarily by First Five San Mateo County, and it's co-led by the Community Foundation and Star Vista, with support from the San Mateo County Office of Education. So I have the good fortune of being co-located. I have a desk at the County Office of Ed and a desk at the foundation, which is really a nice mix. We have 7 target communities, including Jefferson, also Cabrillo, Pacifica, South San Francisco, La Honda, Pescadero, et cetera. You can see the list up there. So it's a very diverse group of communities within the county, very different work in each community, but with similar goals, which we'll talk about in a minute. So the goals of Bridges to Success are to support consistent and aligned high-quality early learning programs and to help children make a good transition from the early years into the elementary school. And we do this through 3 primary strategies. Ready Families, which you'll learn a little bit more about here, and Our Second Home has been a very strong support for that work here in Daly City. Ready Children, which is primarily realized through our Kickoff to Kindergarten program, which is previously known as Kinder Camp, is that right?
Kinder Readiness.
Kinder Readiness. So it's a 4-week summer program for children who haven't previously had a preschool experience. They're able to get a sort of a kickstart to kindergarten every year. And we've been running that program for about 10 years here in Daly City. And then the Ready Schools component, which you'll hear more about, is a team here in the community with early childhood educators and elementary kindergarten teachers and first, second grade teachers coming together to plan, to get to know each other, and to talk about the alignment and articulation from early learning into elementary. And so at the Community Foundation, we've been doing school readiness assessments for about 10 years. And this, in 2010, we did a longitudinal look. And we looked at children who had entered kindergarten in 2009. And then we checked out their 3rd grade English language arts and math scores. And we're sharing this slide with you tonight because it helps us understand the importance of the combination of academic skills and self-regulation or social emotional skills in young children. So what you see is that the children on the far left are children who had low skills at kindergarten entry in both kindergarten academics and self-regulation. And then moving on to the far right is children who had skills in both academics and social emotional development. So those are the 2 key areas that we hope to foster in the early learning programs, and increasingly understanding that those needs are the same all the way up through elementary as well. So we wanted to also give you a little bit of information about the Peninsula Partnership Leadership Council, the Big Lift, which is very aligned with the work of Bridges to Success. Does this sound familiar to you all? Has anybody heard of the PPLC and the Big Lift?
We haven't received a formal.
You haven't gotten a formal presentation, okay. Well, this is kind of a snapshot, so I'll just give you a little information, and Superintendent Vidales is very involved in the PPLC, and the council is made up of leaders throughout the county government, school districts, private businesses and nonprofits, whose goal is to ensure the success of children and youth in the county. And a couple of years ago, they held a summit, and at that summit, many different goal areas were discussed. And ultimately, what was decided for the near future, or maybe for the next 10 years or so, or maybe by 2020, is that the group would focus on ensuring that all children were reading at grade level by third grade in the county, because I'm sure you know that's such an important benchmark for children. If they're not reading at grade level by third grade, the likelihood that they'll succeed later on is increasingly lower. So what has become known as the Big Lift is getting a lot of momentum, and you'll probably hear about it more. And there are a few major components of the Big Lift. So the goal is to go from 58% of children reading at grade level currently by third grade to 80% by 2020. If you think about it, those are it's a pretty shocking statistic that 42% of our children aren't reading at grade level. And when you look at African American and Latino students, the number is 60%. So shocking and also unexcusable. So what we're doing is making an effort to improve readiness through a concerted effort to increase access to preschool for children who don't currently have access. And the Board of Supervisors just allocated $10 million over the next 2 years for preschool from the Measure A funds. So we're working hard to figure out how to find matching funds for that money, because that was part of the stipulation there. The other goal areas are to improve attendance and address the issue of chronic absence, which Sandy McCulloch has been very helpful in looking at data in Jefferson about attendance and which children are chronically absent, addressing that in the early years. And surprisingly, kindergarten is the year with the highest chronic absence of any year, K-12 in most cases. And there's a lot of good data that shows that kids who miss kindergarten regularly really are detrimentally affected by that. Inspiring summers is another goal area, making sure children don't have the summer slide, which is so prevalent for kids who don't have access to engaging experiences. And then family engagement is running a thread running through all of the other three areas. So that's kind of a snapshot of the Big Lift. And
quick question.
Yeah.
So how do we inspire, the Inspiring Summers? We don't have summer school.
Right, so
For summer school, in order to really boost that area.
That's come up lately. We need to bring it back.
So I'm wondering what.
Necessarily mean summer school. I mean, sometimes